Hey everyone, welcome to Plant-Based Cooking with John, your go-to channel for delicious plant-based recipes that won't break the bank. Whether you're a seasoned cook or just starting out, you'll find easy-to-follow recipes that use simple ingredients and basic kitchen equipment. On today's episode, we're going to be making fried egg breakfast sandwiches. So if you're a fan of breakfast sandwiches like I am, I would definitely check this recipe out. Let's do it! All right, first things first, let's discuss the ingredients that we're going to be using for this recipe. So the base of what we're going to be using to do the egg will be tofu. And what is cool about this is it's going to actually resemble a fried egg with the egg white and then the yolk in the middle. And then we're going to just turn it into a breakfast sandwich, but we'll show you how that's done. Now, that's going to be the egg white, and that's going to have the seasoning. Now, to make the yolk, you'll just need a few ingredients that are similar to the tofu scramble video that I showed before. Check that out. But we're going to be using some tahini, which is sesame butter, basically, and that's going to give the thickness of the yolk. We're also going to use some Dijon mustard. We're going to use nutritional yeast. Here it is again, guys. So once again, this is a staple. So we're going to be using that. We're going to be using a little turmeric for the color of the yolk. Of course, salt and pepper. We're also going to be using, for the seasoning now, garlic and onion powder, kaladamak, your black salt, and that's going to really bring out that egg taste. So let's get on that prep. Okay, to start things off, we're going to do a little prep with the tofu. I've already cut the package open and drained this and rinsed it. So now, while it's still wet, we're going to cut the egg slices here. So for this, you want to do a pretty thin cut of the tofu, and notice how I'm doing it to where you get more area instead of on the side like the tofu bacon. So look, here's the thickness I'm doing, and this is going to give us 2 eggs. So I'm going to cut this 3 more times, and I have a little left over, and that's okay. You could actually make more if you wanted to. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stack 2 at a time. Okay, so what I'm doing here is just stacking the 2 pieces so that they're exactly in line with each other. And what I'm going to do is just kind of round off these corners. Okay, so you'll have a little extra, but we'll need this extra, so just set it aside. And I'm just rounding the corners of the tofu, you know, so it resembles that kind of circular egg. All right, so now I have my 2 round tofu pieces, and then what I'm going to do is just remove 1 of the layers of each of them. So I still have 1 here on the cutting board. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a shot glass, okay? And I'm just going to press down in the center of the tofu. So there's the piece that I just pressed down. You want to save this piece too. Okay, just like that. And then you're going, so it looks like this. And then you're going to take your previous 2 pieces that were stacked on, and you're just going to put them back on, okay? So now you have something that looks like this, where you have the flat part of the egg, but you still have the hole, and that's where the yolk mixture is going to go. So this is what it looks like. All right, I have my crumbled egg yolk pieces that were left over from when we sliced the tofu. And now we're going to make the yolk. Okay, so to do this, I have a little cup here so you can see. I'm going to take a tablespoon of the tahini, and I'm going to place that right in there. Okay, we're going to use just 1 teaspoon of mustard, of Dijon mustard. a hint of paprika. Then we're going to use about a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of turmeric. One teaspoon of the culinamic. A little black pepper. A little salt. Salt and pepper to taste, guys. And then just a little bit of onion and garlic powder. I would say about a 1/4 teaspoon of each of these. Okay, and then you're just going to want to mix this all together. All right, I have my egg yolk ingredients mixed in. As you can see, it's kind of pasty-like. You'll just want to put that to the side, because the first thing we want to do is we want to take our egg pieces that we've already cut, and we're going to put it on a towel. We'll just fold it up here. And then what we're going to do, and just get as much of that towel on there as possible. Fold it up really nicely. And then what we're going to do is just press to get all of that water out. So I just have some of these cast iron skillets I'm going to place on top of the cutting board. And you want to press as long as you can. For this particular recipe, I'm going to let it press for about 10 minutes, and then we'll get started on the rest. All right, we're back. So now that my tofu has been pressed, it's dry, I'm just going to take this out of the cloth. So now I have my dried egg slices. Remember, it has the little reservoir that we made with the shot glass. But now we gotta put that yolk in there, okay? So I'm just gonna lay these down, and then I'm gonna grab the yolk that I made. I'm gonna take a scoop here, and I'm gonna put that right in that little reservoir. And what you wanna do is you wanna press down as much of that as you can, okay? And try to get it. Now it can overlap a little bit. It's fine, because if you notice a real egg, the yolk will sometimes seep over the egg white. So that's completely fine. But the reservoir is just to kind of keep it in place. So once you get that filling in there, it'll look something like this. All right, now it's time to fry up that egg. Now, what I would recommend is using a non-stick pan, but sometimes eggs do have, or the tofu does have a tendency to kind of stick. So I have this little method, this little trick that'll really help make sure everything kind of stays together, okay? So first off, I'm just gonna bring the heat to a low medium, and that's important. You don't want to turn it up. Even though we're frying it, I'm going to show you a little trick here that'll make it turn out really nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add the oil, and I just want to make sure that I have enough oil. You'll use a pretty decent amount, because you just want to make sure that you have enough oil to cover the bottom of the pan. And I'm just going to place them in the pan. Now here's the little trick. Take a lid and put it on here to have it cook. And this first round, we're going to flip it eventually, but we want to make sure that it's all in place together, that the yolk gets nicely cooked in. And what the lid is going to do is it's going to keep in the steam, and it's going to make that tofu cook evenly throughout, so it avoids that sticking, and it gets totally cooked all the way through. So before we flip it the first time, I would say let this cook for about 5 minutes, or until you hear a sizzle and it's starting to bubble a little bit. Okay, I hear it kind of cooking a little bit. I'm just going to open the lid. I'm not going to flip it yet. The only thing I'm going to do is add 3 particular seasoning. Now, one, I'm going to put just a little pepper on the top, a little salt, and a little, again, culinamic, sorry. And then the reason I'm doing that is because that particular salt, you do want the egg yolk to also, or the egg white to also taste like egg, and this pink hue of this will not show up on the egg when it's finished cooking. All right, my tofu eggs have been cooking for about 5 minutes, so I'm just going to remove the lid. You can hear the crackling of the egg. And now I'm going to ever so gently flip these over. So as you can see, it's coming right off the pan, no stick. I'm going to take the fork to assist me, and I'm just going to flip it over with the yolk on the bottom. I'm going to give it a little press down because remember, the yolk filling did come up a little higher. And you can see a nice golden brown here. You'll add just a little bit of your seasoning again. So just a little salt, a little pepper, and a little bit of the culinamic. Just like that. Cover it up and let it cook for another 5 minutes. We'll flip it and we'll see how it looks. All right, I flipped the eggs back over. You can see that it has the little yolks in there. It looks great. It did get a little burnt around the edges, and that's okay. It's still going to taste delicious. You can maybe cook it for 3 minutes instead on the other side with the yolk so it doesn't get so brown. But it looks bright and vibrant. And I'm just letting this cook with the lid off for a couple more minutes. And now I'm going to turn off the heat. And I'm just going to take my eggs and put them right here on the plate. And there you go. All right, now let's create our sandwich. So I went ahead and toasted a couple pieces of bread, and I'm just going to start by putting just a little mayo on each side, arugula and tomato. And then I went ahead and put some melted cheese on my egg, and I'm just going to put that on the other side. And I just simply did this with the air fryer. And then, as I mentioned, I have some delicious tofu bacon that I made, so I'm just going to put those pieces right on top of there. Now, if you want a full complete breakfast, I also made some delicious breakfast potatoes. I'm just going to put that right there on the plate, and now you have a full complete meal. All right, there you have it. I have my delicious breakfast sandwich and some breakfast potatoes. It's a well-rounded sandwich, and I would definitely encourage you to try this at home. For the bacon recipe, check out the video that's showing on the screen now if you want to make the bacon with it. Also the seasoned potatoes that's flashing on the screen now. And I would recommend just doing the full meal. Now, if you just want the egg by itself, make it by itself. If you want just egg and cheese sandwich, you can do that too. It's a lot easier. But yeah, this is great. All right, everyone, that concludes the video this time around. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit that alert bell so you can see all the recipes in the future. Like, subscribe, and until next time, we'll see you then. Thank you.